This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. So the show draws 4,862 fans, and according to the Observer, the show was on track to do 6,000 paid, but supposedly, according to Dave, once Arquette won the title, the ticket sales just stopped. At $139,202 at the gate. Do you remember putting this match together? You know, I know a lot of times with old timers, you go out there and freestyle, as we like to say, you call it in the ring, as they like to say, but with
not this match, and certainly not this opponent. And I went into DDP and the stylists at the United Center, but we both knew we had our work cut out. And the triple cage is a great concept. You know, on another episode, we'll get into the triple with Cactus Jack and Gary Young down in Dallas and the WCCW days, and it drew, and that's a good story down there. But dealing with this triple cage and how we were going to go about it, and how we were going to make sense of it, and just the storyline of it with David, a non-wrestler, but you know, the belt being hung. So me and Dallas had quite a bit of conversations, and then you know, and Dallas tells this story. Maybe we'll get the opportunity one time to have him tell the story. But if you're familiar with DDP yoga, I'm about to tell you folks, bang, I'm about to tell you folks, this in a lot of ways is where the origins of DDP yoga came, because we were walking through the match and having the discussion, and, you know, there's 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels, but there's a hole in the cage up on the, we'll say between the first and the second level, and Dallas, and we were walking through it, and Dallas backed up, and one of his legs, as he's backing up, dropped straight through the top. So half his body went down, and it really, I don't even want to say tweak, but it really threw his hips and back, and it threw him out of whack. And he's got to have a match in 24 hours or less than, or right around that. So he went to work, and I believe flew in his doc, but they did a lot of different things, and he was coming off a back injury. But DDP yoga and I don't say it's the origin of it, but it's certainly a huge step in the progression of Dallas really wanting to change how he dealt with his body. And to this day, I do DDP yoga. So I'm a huge fan. I'm a big supporter of it, big believer in it, as opposed to just a supporter. But we went through the match and talked through it and laid it out, and knew that there was going to be, as per the course, and we'll get into it, but you know, somebody's got to take a bump off the top. No, you don't. Just tell the story. But we went down that road, and all the different moving parts that we've already addressed in WCW Creative as the buildup, trying to tell 7 stories at one time that never work. But yes, your question was, Conrad, do you remember talking it over? Yeah, me and DDP talked over this entire layout through and through.
What do you remember specifically about the match? I mean, if fans want to go watch it, it's 15 minutes and 30 seconds worth. Ultimately, you're going to win the most prestigious title in the history of our great sport, the WCW Heavyweight Championship, aka the Big Gold. And you beat David Arquette and Diamond Dallas Page in a 3-decker ready to rumble cage match.
And DDP, there you go. And the picture in my office says it, the storyline that me and Dallas were both climbing each corner of the small cage up on top. And Arquette had already gotten up there. So he's got a guitar in his hand. Is he going to nail DDP or is he going to nail me? Was the story. And he chose to nail Dallas, and I climbed on up, and then we shook hands, and I grabbed the belt, and I'm the champion again. And so that was the finish. That was the storyline. I can remember getting very comfortable up there on top, and me and Dallas had a good brawl. You know, it was laid out, psychology. Look, it's not the easiest psychology to lay out, but I was comfortable. Dallas was comfortable. We laid out the best match possible. We had to get I'll say we had to, but we were instructed. We had to, you know, Canyon had to take the bump off the top, and you know, there was to jump right into it. Oh my gosh, you know, Owen fell the year before, I didn't really, at the time, certainly even go there or connect the dots. I can remember specifically thinking, do we really have to have Canyon? And I know he was involved in the DDP and that whole storyline, but it just felt in a big payoff match trying to tell too many stories. But Canyon ended up taking the big bump off during the match. And par of the course, it was such a protected bump through boxes and all that kind of stuff that people seeing that live were not gonna, oh my gosh, ooh not. And even if they would have bought into it, then you distract from the finish of the match. So it was a lose-lose situation, and I can remember thinking that and probably voicing that to Dallas that day.
So the show ends with you having been announced as getting a bye to the finals of the world title tournament. DDP is going to beat Sting in 3 minutes and 42 seconds after Vampiro turns on Sting, and you end up hitting Kimberly with a guitar when DDP moves, and it turns into a gigantic brawl at the end of the show. We haven't talked about it before. How was DDP with Kimberly taking a guitar shot?
I love Dallas has always been business. Now, he's a fantastic self-promoter. He is a businessman. He is a super goal-oriented. I'm going to do this. I'm going to achieve that. Look, me and Dallas met each other in the late 80s when he was a manager of Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond. So that's how far back we went. But as far as Kimberly, he was all business. And as you said that, I don't want to skip over it. So I got a bye because me and Kurt had a DQ thrown out, and that's how I got put in the finals, right?
Right.
Dallas was always very professional with Kimberly, and Kimberly herself was very professional.
I want to make it clear, not that it matters, but you actually beat Kurt Hennig. You got a bye because there was, you're a heel, and there's some other things that happened. It wasn't a DQ that got
wrestling logic. Okay, wrestling logic.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Doesn't matter. Inconsequential.
Don't blow up like you did last week about.
Well, some of these sidebars you try to go down. It's like there's no payoff, but there was another match scheduled, and then they got thrown out. And because there wasn't a winner in that one, then you advanced. But I'm glad we took 4 minutes to explain that because it doesn't matter.
Conrad, damn, no, I'm kidding.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.